Hello humans, I'm Yoshiller, and I record competitive Pokemon battles. I run a series on my channel known as Pokemon Battah, which stands for Battles Anytime, Anywhere. The main idea behind this series is to battle against opposing players in Pokemon battles in whatever style that the challenger wants. More recently, I've been uploading battles that follow the official formats of the Pokemon Company's VGC 2018 rule set. After creating a quirky team, and after making a video detailing my quirky team, I put my team to the test and attended a few different tourneys. Although I don't really have any high or noteworthy rankings, it is worth noting that I definitely made my presence known as a player who uses a Bayleaf and as a player who won in some unusual circumstances. Now that the VGC 2018 season is over, the Pokemon Company has announced the next set of rules for the upcoming season. Or rather, they announced a few different minor seasons, and the first one is called the Sun Series. The rules are a bit different this time around, and like it or not, I have to create a new team since my VGC 2018 does not completely qualify under each of these new rules. Namely, my Mega Mawile can't be used. It was fun using her while it lasted, but I think we all knew that I was gonna have to make a new team eventually. So, it looks like I'll be creating a new team that is better suited to put up with these new rules. And with a new team comes a new overview video that shall detail which Pokemon I shall be using. And for those that don't know, I have my own silly restriction on which Pokemon I can and can't use. The Pokemon that I use in competitive battling come from what I refer to as my 45 Pokemon bubble. This is a term that refers to the Pokemon that I've used in various walkthroughs and Let's Plays, and I've used each of these Pokemon throughout my Pokemon Battah series. The screen that you're seeing right now showcases all 45 Pokemon that I've obtained. And for this new VGC season, I shall be constructing a team of 6 Pokemon based exclusively on the Pokemon within this bubble. Additionally, in this video, I shall be detailing what I plan to do for the upcoming Sun series, and I shall be going over each of my Pokemon and strategies so that I can create a bundle of videos that see if these strategies are worthwhile or not. And, of course, viewers such as yourself are allowed to challenge this team to a VGC battle by referring to the link in the description or the info card in the top right corner of the screen. Viewers are always welcome to leave a request to challenge any of the Pokemon that I have within my 45 Pokemon bubble, but if you would like to challenge my upcoming Sun Series VGC team to a VGC battle, then please follow the instructions in the description and refer to the video link that's also there. But before I detail which Pokemon I plan to be using this time around, let's go over how my previous team did. My previous team consisted of Milotic, Zoroark, Bayleaf, Mawile, Goodra, and Weavile. Overall, as weird as it sounds, my win-loss streak was almost consistently 50-50. This holds true for me playing online in general, for me posting videos of the matches that I recorded, and for me actually attending tournaments. While the score isn't anything record-breaking, I guess it depends on whether or not you see the glass half empty or half full. In my case, I see the glass half full, because it means that I won at least half my matches using my own strategies. So, knowing that I won half my battles using such an off-the-wall team is something that I could say that I'm proud of. But, of course, I want to do better. Beyond that, I'm well aware that I could win using more viable Pokemon, namely, legendary Pokemon. But considering that I went up against so many powerful Pokemon without using a single legendary Pokemon Ultra Beast or Z move, makes me feel like my 50-50 rank is better than it actually is. But yes, it means that I lost half my battles, and I know that there are plenty of things that I can do that are obvious that would make my team stronger. But I want to keep using my off-the-wall strategies to see if maybe I can come up with something that nobody else has thought of. On my previous VGC 2018 team, each of my Pokemon had his or her time to shine. My Milotic was able to use her competitive ability to win matches, my Zoroark was able to trick my opponents and win matches, my Bayleaf was able to set up Light Screen to help me win matches, my Mawile was able to take hits and hit hard so I could win matches. My Goodra's bulk allowed me to win matches. And my Weavile was able to use Fake Out on some Pokemon and one-shot Landorus, so I could win matches. Each strategy that I had in mind worked at some point, and while I mostly chose Pokemon that were my favorites, I did have a few strategies that were based on what Pokemon were overused during the season, so yes, believe it or not, I did have a few tactics in mind when it came to constructing this team. Of course, there are some pretty obvious counters to my team too. 3 of my Pokemon were weak to fire attacks, and with Heat Wave being a common move, this posed a real problem. Additionally, my Zoroark would sometimes use Trick, and in hopes of switching out his Choice Scarf for some other item, I would sometimes get a Choice Scarf in return, or some other choice item, and therefore that would ruin Zoroark's whole strategy. And as I previously stated, I did try swapping out some of my Pokemon's moves, and while some ideas worked, such as Mawile and Weavile gaining Protect, the lack of a Steel-type move on my Mawile left me in a few situations where I felt like I could have instantly won. But instead of instantly winning, I became instantly regretful. The only Pokemon on my team that resisted Fairy-type moves was Mawile, and with the prominence of Tapus running around, Dazzling Gleam was also a common problem to my team, as it was super effective to Weavile and Zoroark, whom I commonly started matches with, and as I also previously stated, none of my Pokemon were holding a Z-Crystal, even though I considered using a Z-Crystal strategy with Milotic. So that may have been a missed opportunity, although I just found that having leftovers was much more useful, but maybe having a Z-Crystal would have worked out better. But hey, for this upcoming Sun series of tournaments, since Pokemon can't hold Z-Crystals, so no harm, no foul anymore? Going forward, I plan to pick 6 Pokemon that I feel will be well suited for this upcoming session of matches. I've kinda seen which Pokemon will be popular in the Sun series, so I tried to construct a team that could counter a lot of the Pokemon that I think will appear. So what do I think will prominently appear during this upcoming Sun Series season? Well, I'm no weatherman, but I'm predicting we'll see strong rains, harsh suns, and rough sandstorms. Competitors refer to this as weather wars. See, in a VGC setting, some of the most common Pokemon that appear are based on weather conditions. Each of these weather conditions also allows certain Pokemon to have their abilities activate, and some other moves get some secondary conditions added onto them as well. But more specifically, with legendary Pokemon such as Kyogre and Groudon now being deemed legal for this series, I predict that these 2 Pokemon will be the most common Pokemon in this metagame. Both of these Pokemon are extremely powerful Pokemon that have the ability to change the weather anytime they're summoned, and they have a plethora of attacks that can take out opponents. So I figured that if I want to stand a chance in VG 2019's metagame, then I need to construct a team that can work with any of these weather conditions. And so, with that in mind, I've decided to construct what is essentially a weather counter team, hopefully. And I would like to announce the 6 Pokemon that I plan to use on this team. They are Serperior, Excadrill, Milotic, Gigalith, Zoroark, and Hawlucha. I also had a few other runner-up Pokemon as well, and I did try using them in experimental matches, but this just seemed like the team that was the most beneficial to me. It's definitely possible that later on I might swap out one of these other Pokemon in exchange for something that's currently on my team, but for the time being, these are the 6 Pokemon that I've chosen. This is the team that I plan to use throughout VGC 2019's Sun Series. For now, my plan is to go through each of the 6 Pokemon that I have currently chosen, one at a time, and analyze what I plan to do with each one. And, in the case of Milotic or Zoroark, I'll discuss why I've decided to have them returned, and I'll point out whether or not I plan to change any of their strategies. Although I should preface these explanations by stating that I plan to recreate these Pokemon. What I mean is, I won't be reusing the exact same Pokemon for my walkthroughs. For example, I initially obtained my Serperior in Pokemon White. I used it throughout the game, and then I later transferred it to Pokemon X and Y, and then I later transferred it to Pokemon Sun and Moon. I can't use the exact same Serperior because the rule set clearly states that every Pokemon used in the metagame must be native to the Alola region or born within it. So I'd have to hatch and raise a new Serperior anyway. But I'll try and keep as many things intact as possible, such as the Pokemon's nickname and gender, but the IVs, EVs, natures, and abilities may change. With all that in mind, let's discuss the team. First up is Serperior. From one grass starter Pokemon to another, we have what many people would consider to be the best starter of the Unova region. My Serperior is the first Pokemon listed in my 45 Pokemon bubble, so it's quite a treat to see him play with all of my newer Pokemon. He's like the Iron Man of my universe, except he's a snake and a Pokemon. He's not really a commander of anything. What I mean is, his story came first, and then all these other Pokemon stories followed afterwards, so he's kind of like a leader, I think. And this Serperior's name is Anthony, even though the name is spelled Athne. See, in my Pokemon White series, my main 6 Pokemon were nicknamed after real-life friends, while my 6 rotational Pokemon were named after the online usernames of my other friends. But I initially played Pokemon White in Japanese, and in Japanese Pokemon games, a Pokemon's nickname can only be 5 letters. So Serperior's nickname was supposed to be Anthony, which is the name of a recurring guest in my YouTube videos who goes by the username of Shrooby. Because I had to spell Anthony's name in 5 letters, it looks like Athne. And while I could change it now, I shall be keeping the nickname of Athne in spirit, but I shall be referring to him as Anthony. Anyway, okay, lore and names aside, you probably want to know what this Serperior does. Interestingly, when I was first experimenting with Pokemon for this Sun series, Serperior was the first Pokemon that came to mind. I created 1 or 2 movesets that I thought would work, but I ultimately just wasn't satisfied with them. That's when my friend and fellow VGC competitor Trish, also known as Lineru, came into the picture and suggested some strategies for Serperior that proved to be great. The main tactic was to utilize the move Gastro Acid. This is a move that only a few Pokemon can learn, and it's supposed to suppress an opposing Pokemon's ability. And since Serperior is already a fast Pokemon, I could theoretically use this attack to remove any Pokemon's ability, and therefore make them useless in weather conditions. Or even for Pokemon that don't benefit in the rain, sometimes just getting rid of their ability makes them a completely useless Pokemon. If a Pokemon has an ability that boosts its stats every turn and I use Gastro Acid on it, then it can't boost its stats every turn. It's great. But in the event that Gastro Acid won't prove to be worthwhile, Anthony also serves as a Pokemon that's just a major inconvenience to deal with. With moves such as Confide and Glare, this snake is out there to ensure that any and all my opponents are as annoyed as possible. Essentially, his goal is to make the opponent's Pokemon more frustrating to use. If he can't take a Pokemon's ability away, he'll just paralyze it and lower its special attack stat until one of my other Pokemon can clean up the mess. Lastly, I'll be using Serperior with its Dream World ability, which is contrary. Most players would use this ability to turn Serperior into a powerhouse, but I'm using this ability more defensively. But I do plan to have Leaf Storm on my Serperior, which will boost his special attack every time the move is used. But Anthony's main gimmick is to just be a nuisance, and to give people a reason to still be scared of snakes. Up next is Excadrill, and I do have to give special shoutouts to another Pokemon player for this good ol' mole. Natively, Excadrill is not mine. If you're familiar with the Mario Kart player Mr. Bean, then you'd be intrigued to know that this Excadrill was originally his. Mr. Bean caught this Pokemon as a Drillbur and traded it to me. It has the nickname of Mogur, which I believe was an attempt to try and mimic its Japanese name, Moguryu. But since I can't change the name, since this Pokemon originally belongs to another trainer, and since I kinda don't want to anyway, Mogur's name will stick. Mr. Bean and I have done a few Pokemon-related things since he traded me this guy, and while Excadrill has helped me out from time to time in my adventures, I'm ashamed to say that I actually haven't used Excadrill in this series a whole lot. In fact, he is one of my 3 least used Pokemon in the series. That's mainly due to the fact that I was afraid to use one, as Excadrill has often been banned in standard play due to being too overpowered in a sandstorm thanks to his abilities. But here in VGC, stuff like that is more than welcome, baby. At this point, who cares about being broken? Give it your all! Unless you're a legendary Pokemon, in which case, I'll take you down! Excadrill gets a speed boost in sandstorms, and given the fact that the attack and speed stats of Excadrill are already great, he just seemed like a natural fit to be the powerhouse of the team. Ideally, he can go in and one-shot everybody as soon as a sandstorm is up. And since Excadrill is one of the few Pokemon that can learn Smart Strike, I kinda just like the idea of having that be his go-to steel move, since I don't want to risk any chance of missing any more attacks. So that's Excadrill, a powerhouse that likes to play in the sand. Also, Mr. Bean, thanks again for the mole! Then we have the queen of my previous team, Milotic. She is making her beautiful return. Admittedly, there's just no real reason to remove her from the team. And since she's also a snake-like creature, she and Serperior seem to complement each other pretty well. I mean, snakes are pretty cool in the grand scheme of things. I'm kinda scared of them in real life, but in terms of Pokemon, I think that Serperior is well designed and that Milotic is a majestic beauty, so let's try them out on the same team. Milotic might be beautiful, but looks aren't everything, and Milocaros here has definitely proven that. In fact, my strategy with her will be the same as last time, especially since she can't hold a Z-Crystal this time anyway, so I may as well just use what I did last time. Her ability is competitive, so anytime one of her stats is decreased, her special attack will increase by 2 stages. And since there are a lot of Intimidate users out there, namely Incineroar, her attack stat will get lowered anytime one of those Pokemon are summoned, so her competitive ability should just keep activating. Plus, having her with her Coil and Blizzard combination just proved to be super useful. Coil allowed her to boost her defense and accuracy, and because her accuracy was boosted, Blizzard always hit, and was a great spread move. So Milotic is back, and she isn't changing because I think she's perfect just the way she is. But alright, we're on to another newcomer. Another Pokemon from the Unova region. It's Gigalith, or Rocker! And fun fact, he's the only Rock-type Pokemon in my 45 Pokemon bubble. The only Rock-type Pokemon I have is a giant rock. Fun stuff. Much like the Pokemon from my Pokemon White walkthrough, I played Pokemon White 2 in Japanese initially, so his nickname could also only fit 5 letters. But this monolithic boulder's main purpose is to summon a sandstorm. Yeah, that's right, I'm getting in on this weather war stuff myself. Although my team isn't a sandstorm-based team, and although the only Pokemon to truly benefit from a sandstorm on my team is Excadrill, Rocker's Sandstorm is mainly a backup option in case I need to shut down another ongoing weather effect. For instance, if my Serperior Gastro Acid strategy fails, I can simply throw in this giant boulder onto the stage and ruin all the other weather-based teams that way. And if Team Preview suggests that my opponent already has a Sandstorm team, then great, Rocker can alternatively just sit in the back and rely on the Sandstorm bonuses for himself. Rocker here is holding a weakness policy. Since a Sandstorm will already boost his special defense by 50%, I decided to invest a lot of EVs into HP and defense. And since he's a Rock-type Pokemon, it's very likely that he'll get hit with a super effective attack, which will make his weakness policy activate. And so, as the turn comes to a close, he'll just be super strong and will take out everybody else. Another strategy that I'm trying with him is giving him the move Bulldoze. Bulldoze is a move that lowers the speed of every Pokemon it comes to contact with. But other than summoning a Sandstorm and bulldozing stuff, Rocker is pretty straightforward. He's bulky like a giant rock should be. And now we move on to the other returning Pokemon on my team, Zoroark. I brought the queen back, and now it's time to bring back the king. Previously, Zoroark's main goal was to utilize Trick and swap items with an opponent. If I could properly predict an opposing Pokemon's hold item, I could ruin my foe's strategy by forcing a Pokemon to be stuck using a useless move. In a few instances, and even on recording, I've gotten this strategy to work, and sometimes it actually just flat out led to me winning the match. Plus, if a Pokemon wasn't using some sort of worthless move and it was just swapped out later on in battle, I know that that Pokemon would forever be stuck using one move for the rest of the battle every time it was on the field, so I could still try to react accordingly. In other words, Zoroark was basically an early game strategy shutdown Pokemon, if that makes sense. Here's the thing though, when I played VGC 2018, the move Trick would not work on Pokemon that were holding Mega Stones or Z Crystals. But in the Sun series, Z Crystals and Mega Stones may not be used as held items. So, now that they're gone, Zoroark can theoretically trade items with any Pokemon. There might still be one or two exceptions, but hey, this basically just gives Zoroark a huge buff. But beyond that, if I don't want to trick Pokemon, Zoroark is still just a fast Pokemon with a great special attack stat, and being able to psych out opponents on the first turn is something that I generally love doing. And so now he's back to trick everybody. And last but not least, we've got Yalucha the Hawlucha. Yalucha is my flying fighting girl that has previously helped me win all sorts of battles, although I've never used her in a VGC setting. She has an ability known as Unburden that will boost her speed stat if she's not holding an item. As a result, I've decided to have her hold a berry so that if she's ever hit with a physical attack, her defense stat will go up and her speed stat will go up because her Unburden ability will activate. Ideally, I'd want her to get hit with a fake out attack so the berry could activate immediately. But in case the berry never activates, Hawlucha is still fast and she's still strong. But if she is able to drop or use her berry in some form, then she can go to town with Acrobatics, which is a powerful flying type move that gets stronger if the user isn't holding an item. But otherwise, Hawlucha is a backup option that's immune to ground type attacks that can go in and do some heavy hitting. I've also been debating between a couple of her moves. I definitely want her to have Acrobatics and Drain Punch, but I've been debating whether or not I want her to have U-Turn or Poison Jab or Steel Wing, but for the time being, I think I like Poison Jab. Otherwise, there you have it. That's my new team. It's got some tactical Pokemon and some backup Pokemon. But the main goal is to react properly toward this upcoming Weather War scenario and to plan accordingly for the crazy weather that's to come. So, what's next from here? Well, I've actually already constructed my VGC team for the Sun series, and I plan to start attending local events. I plan to take pictures of my results and post them to my Twitter account so that I may properly document as much as I can. Plus, I also plan to record matches on the game's battle spot so that I can actually record footage of my strategies in play. And, like I stated earlier, I want to be able to battle against you folks too. So, if you have a team that follows the rules and guidelines of the Sun series, I'd love to take on any challenger. For now, Serperior, Excadrill, Milotic, Gigalith, Zoroark, and Hawlucha. We'll see how this team does. If you have any questions, recommendations, or concerns, please feel free to leave any feedback in the comment section down below. Trust me, I do read the comments and I do take your criticism seriously. Otherwise, I hope to report back with some positive results, or at the very least, results better than a 50-50 win streak. Thank you, and bye-bye, humans. Whoosh.
Hey everyone! If you enjoyed what you saw and want to see more, be sure to click the subscribe icon underneath the video. Be sure to click on the bell icon to be notified when a new video is out. Also, one of the best ways to support me is to follow me on Twitter. On there, you can see announcements, updates, and previews for all of my upcoming content. My tag is @RyoYoShiller. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you all in future videos. Whoosh!